members and our co-sponsoring organizations, Georgia Interfaith Power and Light, Poder Latinx, the Alliance of Nurses for a Healthy Environment, Georgia Conservation Voters, Climate Power and Environment Georgia. So it is my honor to introduce MARTA's General Manager and CEO, Collie Greenwood, as our first speaker.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us here. I want to start by, first of all, acknowledging the good work of the MARTA team that's kind of prepared the space and brought us a bus and made everything just right, even had the rain hold off just so we could do this. So I want to thank you, Team MARTA. And I just a brief reminder, everybody can remember how cold and wet Saturday was, and then how wonderful Sunday was, and then how the weather just keeps undulating, and that there's no secret to us that there's something happening, that climate change is real. It's not just a risk anymore, it's a reality. And left alone, the impacts of climate change won't get better. They'll just worsen in volume and veracity. And so we have to do something. We see this at MARTA all the time. We have to deal with preparing for severe weather events on a regular basis. Most people in the public wouldn't even know that, on a regular basis we prepare for things like, flooded roadways, uprooted trees blocking the roads, blocking the rail lines, even the risk of frost on our overhead catenary system and on the rights of way. So when it's a part of your core operation, you're well aware, and you start to wonder how it is that others are not aware of the realities of climate change. And what's worse is, I remember back in the day when the scientists first started telling us about it, they would tell us that we're going to recognize shifts in the weather patterns. And they also said we weren't immediately going to recognize other things, other detrimental impacts of climate change. So things like risks to air quality, the ecosystem, and even global interdependency. So if this is real and has come to pass, those other warnings are also on their way. And so it's an urgent situation. It's important that we have all hands on deck. And I'm just here to say that MARTA has part of the solution. In fact, MARTA is part of the solution. I think that sound and good public transit policy leads to good fiscal and economic policy, social and community advancement policy, public health policy, and most of all, environmental policy. So over the years, you can think about the fact that when our first diesel buses came out, that was already an improvement in terms of green energy and in terms of the infrastructure, the environmental infrastructure, because one bus, even then, would replace 40 or 50 privately operated vehicles, and that in and of itself was an improvement. But we didn't stop there. We went on to clean diesel, and from there we went on to compressed natural gas. Compressed natural gas is now 75% of our fleet, so already the benefits are there. And we didn't stop there. We moved towards zero emission. We now have 6 electric buses out on the road, 5 out on the road, and one of these bad boys right here. So on top of that, we've got all the electric infrastructure coming to support that. We've got another 31 electric buses on the way. We've got our non-revenue fleet being converted. We've got our mobility fleet being converted. All of our bus rapid transit lines as they come out will be electric. So MARTA's well on its way to that. Still, we're not finished. We're moving towards a complete zero emission fleet, and we're committed to doing that while maintaining a balance in terms of our propulsion system, so that we're always responsibly reliable in terms of having a mix of fleet propulsions, so that we can always serve our public. But we are very grateful to our federal partners for things that they've been doing to support us. Passage of the IIJA, the Infrastructure and Investment in Infrastructure Jobs Act, passage of the Inflation Reduction Act, the Federal Affordable Clean Energy Plan, and our local partners with their climate efforts and their strong support of MARTA. They're cutting climate pollution. So I really want to give thanks to our government for that. Which brings me to this man on my right, Congressman Hank Johnson from the 4th Congressional District. Congressman Hank Johnson is a member of the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, a laser-focused group on improving transit and transit infrastructure. He's a longtime supporter of MARTA from his days in DeKalb County as the commissioner to his current work in Congress, and he's a celebrated member of MARTA's transit force, our Georgia delegation of what we call superheroes. I first met Congressman Johnson just over a year ago, so I don't have the benefit of that long-term relationship with him as many of you do, but what I can offer is perspective. On that first meeting just over a year ago, MARTA's objective was to advocate for congressional support of transit initiatives, so we brought as many people as we could to the Hill to meet him in his office in DC. I walked into the congressman's office flanked by board members and the union president and C-suite executives and other MARTA executives. We walked through the doorway and he looked up, stood up from his desk, gathered himself in that very familiar stance, feet shoulder width apart, chest out, chin up, and my first thought was, we're gonna need more people on our side. Only to find out within moments that he is on our side and that he is a staunch advocate of transit, and we could ask for no greater partner in that regard. So we are really grateful to Congressman Johnson for his support of transit and all the green good that brings. And so without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Congressman Hank Johnson.